Hello YouTube. So I am Big5200. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and let's go to Dustborn.
The mainstream media is constantly out of touch with their audience. You have them trashing games like Black Myth Wukong for accusations being levied towards the developers, but on the flip side, when a game fits their narratives like
Yeah, it's pretty crazy that Wukong, well, I mean, it's not really crazy. It's like pretty obvious, like why Wukong is getting thrashed by IGN, like mistranslating the developer's words. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it's unfortunate, but Wukong's doing well. Like it sold 10 million, it's doing amazingly, so it didn't really affect Wukong at all.
Dustborn, where you go around using your words as weapons to trigger your enemies, and it's heavily inspired based on 2016 political events. They praise it, saying it's such an amazing freaking game, but now gamers are calling them and these devs out on their BS, saying you made a title for modern audiences, nobody wants to play it, and you deserve to fail.
Yeah, what happened to like appealing to modern audiences? Because people keep telling us like diversity and inclusiveness and all that, and that these would have like this huge audience, this huge untapped audience. That's why you need to race swap and like do all these things. Yet Dustborn is sitting at how many players exactly? Wow, only 73 players. This came out like how many days ago? Like, is it like 5 or 7 or something like that? Jeez. Wait, its all-time peak is 76. Holy, not even 100. That's how bad it is. My God. Like, what happened to, you would think all this diversity and inclusiveness would bring in a huge audience. Like, where's the modern audience?
I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I say this all the time, a game as bad as Dustborn does deserve to exist. It might not be a title that I like,
But man, I wasn't expecting, oh wait, her all-time peak says 83. Mine said 76.
most people like, but these devs deserved to be able to create it, right? Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, Concord, Dustborn, they have a place, but it's just at the bottom of a trash can because nobody wants to play these titles. When developers focus on making content for modern audiences, it means they're creating games for absolutely nobody. And Red Thread really tried to make a mainstream hit here. They were talking.
It's interesting how, like, when you make a game that's just made to be fun and there's no care of, like, races or, like, anything like that, just you make a fun game, like, a lot of people play it. While Dustborn was more interested in, like, the message and trying to be as diverse and inclusive as possible and stuff like that, and, like, no one's playing it.
Talking for years about how it's heavily inspired by 2016 political events, and they were just so passionate about these issues that they had to incorporate it into their game. We know that you go around using words as weapons to trigger your enemies, but the best player number that they could muster up was on launch day at 83 people. This is,
yeah, it's just like, I would expect them to at least hit 3 digits, man. It's doing really bad. Really bad. That's insane.
a big modern audience, guys. These developers and developers in the mainstream industry, whether they are Ubisofts, EAs, it doesn't matter. They need to get the memo. They need to get it through their thick freaking skulls that these titles don't sell. And it's hilarious to see failure after failure just proving us right.
Yeah.
These games have no audience. And no matter how much the mainstream media tries to prop up a game, that doesn't mean it's gonna work. Typically, when the mainstream covers a title like Black Myth Wukong, we see the Streisand effect. We see them trash it, try to get people to boycott it.
Yeah, they're the same with Hogwarts Legacy, and that did not go well for them since Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game of 2023.
And then it sells amazing. Happened with Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
They hated it because of JK. Stellar Blade, they hated it because of sexy women. Black Myth Wukong, they hate it because the developers were accused of being sexists, even though they didn't say anything.
Yeah, I think no one really cares about like anything like this. Like I said this with the Genshin Impact thing. No one actually cares about the races or like anything like that. Like obviously people on Twitter will like make it seem like it's super important or anything. But what people actually care about is a good game. That's it.
That could warrant such an accusation.
Like people only say stuff on Twitter and stuff to virtue signal. It's not real. You can see it in the player numbers. Like no one actually cared to actually pick up and play the game.
And they didn't shove diversity and inclusivity into their title. So the mainstream's been trying to cancel it, but it has not worked. And when they try to promote a title like Dustborn, it also doesn't mean that it's going to gain sales because everybody's practically pointing and laughing at the mainstream, and that is exactly what is happening. They truly thought that Dustborn was going to be a mega hit if they endorsed it, and well, that's not going so well. 40.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like, because anyone with eyes could see that there was no possible way that this game would do well. Like, it's just one of those games where you see and you know, like, things aren't going to go well for it. Like, the same with Concord, which I plan to do a video on. It's just one of those things where you could see it from a mile away. I don't see how, like, any investor or, like, the developers don't see it, or well, I guess the developers are just more interested in like perpetuating like the message, but you know, just any investors or anything, they don't see like this is clearly going to bomb.
8 players in game right now, and 83 is the max on Steam, and it did launch on other platforms. We don't have those numbers, but one would assume they're relatively close to.
Yeah, it's always cool when people go like, "Oh, it's actually these are only the Steam numbers. The console numbers are actually like 1 million or something." Like there was the same cope with like the Avengers game and then like the Suicide Squad game. Happens all the time. Clearly, yeah, the game is bombing. Like the numbers are always relative to each other. Outside of like very specific circumstances. Like maybe Guild Wars 2, where like it released on Steam like 10 years after it released on PC. I mean, it's 10 years after it released on its own launcher. So, yeah.
To this, and yes, Red Thread is a group of indie devs. They are, people who've only put out a couple games. But on the flip side, this has been getting so much media attention, you'd think it would be doing better.
But yeah, that's my take. I guess I don't really need to see the whole video. But yeah, remember to like, subscribe, comment, And you can catch my Twitch, same name, BigFire200, and yeah, I'll see you later.